According to the Journal of Abnormal Child Psychology, written by a collective of child psychologists, children with ADHD had a lower GPA average by 0.25 points. Now, some of you might have known anybody with ADHD or have ADHD yourselves and know that how hard public schooling can be at times. I have ADD and I know what it's like to fall behind in the class and struggle with learning. So I think that we should implement changes in our schools to better accommodate for kids with ADHD and other learning disabilities. I'm going to talk to you about the effects ADHD has on learning in the classroom for kids, the ways we are currently trying to help, and ways that we can do more, and the effects that the changes will have on the kids' future. According to the CDC, about 6 million kids the ages 17 and under have ADHD. That's 6 million kids in America with learning disabilities falling behind in the classroom. The U.S. Department of Education says that children with ADHD find following simple class rules and completing daily tasks difficult at times, while also being disruptive and getting lower overall performances in the classroom. CDC stated after conducting a survey amongst parents with kids with ADHD that only about 1 in 3 students with ADHD received in-class accommodations from teachers and faculty. Now, not only is this illegal under Sections 504 of the 1973 Rehabilitation Act and the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, which requires teachers to accommodate kids with ADHD and learning disabilities, but it's also detrimental to these children by hindering their learning and making them fall even further behind in classroom. The IDEA Act does state that kids with ADHD and learning disabilities require extra time on tests, different instruction assignments, and environmental changes to help them block out distractions. However, these changes aren't typically implemented in schools as effectively as they should be, and I also think that there are ways that we can do more for these kids. George DuPaul, an education professor at Lehigh University, says that schools could more effectively accommodate these children by allowing break times and allowing exercise times for them to move around and go outside. Now, I know if I had these breaks and changes in pacing during school, that I could have had better learning and done more work than being distracted and sitting inside all day trying to take notes. And I have a cousin who has ADHD, and I know that he used to frequently get in trouble during school up until he started getting involved into sports like basketball, football, and track. Now, I think that if schools encourage kids with learning disabilities to get involved in sports or extracurriculars like band and theater, that they could allow these children to release their energy in a positive manner rather than being disruptive in class. According to Lisa Wayant, a professor at the University of Rhode Island, kids with learning disabilities who are heavily disciplined are more likely to perform worse in the classroom. So I propose that teachers and faculty give students with learning disabilities more warnings than the normal children. That way the kids with learning disabilities can relieve their energy and calm down rather than immediate disciplinary action, which could rile them up even more or make them act out and lash out in a negative way. And I believe that if these strategies are implemented, it could help these children's futures. And I think that with these changes, with ADHD and other learning disabilities, they will improve academically, allowing them to have a better chance at being accepted into higher education like college or trade school, and possibly allow them to be hired into a better, prosperous job market in which they might not have had in the future. A future that they might not have had if not for the reform of their schools. Which is why I think we should implement changes into our schools to better accommodate for children with ADHD and other learning disabilities. Now, I've talked about the effect ADHD has on learning, the ways we are trying to help accommodate for these children, and ways we can do more, and also how these changes will help kids in the future. Now, I challenge you to go talk to your local schools, superintendents, representatives, county officials, mayors, governors, anybody with any importance and say in the community, and ask them, are they doing enough?